we'll need another show.
Oh, okay. Okay. So basically, if I understand, the cognitions are your thoughts. So thoughts and behavior.
Yeah, relating behavior and thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
most of your behavior comes from your thoughts. Where do your thoughts come from?
Uh-huh.
Now we understand that.
Wow, wow. And she's here today to take us through a very, very emotive issue called forgiveness. And because she's a returning guest, naendelea kukuja zaidi. Last time we had a show and you talked about your past, and something interesting happened after the show.
Wow. Yes, it brings smiles to my face because it's for the first time that I was able to, my mother was able to hear me. There is listening to me and there is hearing me. She heard me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
She took a moment of like, what do you mean? Yeah. There was those moments and they were beautiful.
Wow.
Very, very
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow.
So we're in a good place. I'm happy. Yes.
So the relationship has progressed.
Yes.
By her being able to listen to you.
Her being able to listen to me and her stopping to be defensive. Yes.
Okay.
Earlier on it used to be, it is because you that I. Now we're in a place of, oh really? Okay. I didn't know. And I also, because I already know that she didn't know. I already know that she didn't do this. Whatever it is that happened wasn't done intentionally.
Yes.
So we're in a good place. I understand her. I feel her. So yeah, we're in a good place.
Awesome. Awesome.
In fact, she called me the day before yesterday, before the Kastori. She was a blessing. We were just talking, and that was the first time in a very long time that my mom was able to feel my need without me telling her.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I was in the house with 50 bob. And from nowhere, I wasn't asking, but I check, and she sent me something, and I was like, wow, I have not asked, and she has sent.
Wow.
I felt like she felt my need.
So the relationship has progressed.
Very, very much.
Very, very much.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Wow. So as we had a discussion the last time you were here, and you said that I'm coming again, and I'm coming with a topic. What made you think about that forgiveness would be a very key issue? Both as you and also later on as a coach.
As a coach. One of the things I know has held me back for a very long time was lack of forgiveness. And by the way, as I have told you earlier, and I said the other time, I was born again. I was loving Jesus, going to heaven vertically.
Yes.
But I hadn't forgiven. Machungu. The pain was real. And the thing is, when you have gone through stuff, you start to realize, by the way, I was offended. I was hurt. But you can't name. And when you start naming, I tell you, hey, by the way, Benard, I've been struggling with this. This happened. And you're like, can you be grateful? Look at how your life is good. Be grateful. I start telling myself, by the way, I should be grateful. Let me be grateful. But still the pain is somewhere. So the following time that, when someone has offended you, and somebody, especially not like in my case, it was my mom. Yes. I keep saying the world wasn't bad to me. My challenges began at home. And I can't remember the world hurting me more than I can remember my mom hurting me. So when I would say that I'm being hurt by my mom, the world would be like, you're so grateful. Kwanza, you're even born again. When you're born again,
she brought you up.
She brought you up.
She took you to school.
The best school she could. I have not lacked fees. I never lacked a Christmas dress, and a nice one for that matter. So why am I not being grateful? And what is it that she did? Beating you. Kwani, what's wrong with you? That is fine. So I would now decide to forgive because, one, it's a command. I am praying the Lord's Prayer every day. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. I'm saying that so many times and passionately. But the truth is, I haven't forgiven her because anytime my mom would call me, I would feel emotions rising up. I would feel some thing that would begin from here. It rises up, but then inafika hapa, it's so real.
So it's that thing of kumeza wembe. That's what they call it.
I think it's kumeza wembe, and then it was nikewaru. Not that kiwaru that comes and then it's choking you.
So for those who are wondering what we're talking about, it's swallowing a potato or swallowing razor blades. That's how you'd feel when your mom calls you.
Yes. Even when I would see her calling, I'd be like, now what does she want? Makelele tena. And then I remember I wanted to go to a certain college. She refused. I didn't want to work as a teacher for TSC. She actually insisted I must. She didn't support me when I felt I needed support. She supported relatives and didn't support me. So I was having a lot of bitterness within me, but still born again and serving in the church. And whenever I would share with the pastor, all of them would tell me, Rosemary, forgive. But none of them told me how.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is forgiveness important? Now speak as a coach. Put on your other hat as a coach. I'll ask you to talk as a teacher later on.
The reason why forgiveness is very important is because it releases you. You're in your own caprison. I keep saying, this is something that sounds like it's cliche, but lack of forgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting you to die. So I put poison in this glass, drink it.
I'm the one who made you angry.
Yes. Then I drink it. The poison that I have put here. And then I expect you to die because you're the one I haven't forgiven. Does that make sense ever?
No, because you're the one who's going to...
I'm the one who's drinking. So who's going to have pressure issues? It's me. Who's going to have ulcers? It's me. Who is going to have H. pylori? Because I want to tell people today, H. pylori most of the time we think it's food, where. It's actually a stress-related thing. Inside of you, there is a lot going on.
What I understood about H. pylori is when you have that, we all have that bacteria within us, but once you give it very good conducive atmosphere, for example, if you're stressed, if you're angry, and your internal chemistry, what is it, hydrochloric acid goes up.
Biology siku anashika vizuri.
Once it goes up, it gives it a very conducive atmosphere to multiply.
And it really will multiply. And you will be going to the hospital every other time. But now, if you seek to forgive, and forgiveness, by the way, I have given it a very interesting meaning. Forgiveness is acknowledging that you are hurt. Yes. Acknowledge you were hurt. Don't justify. Acknowledge. I was hurt. And then, you work on letting go. You hurt me. The truth is you hurt me. And by the way, being hurt is okay. Feeling angry is fine. Anger is there. Emotions. You know, all emotions are very, very healthy.
Yes.
All emotions are there to protect you.
Yes.
So yes, you are angry. Benji hurt me. By the way, do anybody call you Benji? I've discovered I am the one who keeps on repeating this name. So you were hurt. And since you are hurt, acknowledge first that you're hurt. Don't justify, because when you justify, you try to remove the authenticity of the emotions.
Yes.
It doesn't go. Because what you never name will never live. You will never handle. If today you're sick, like we've just mentioned H. pylori.
Yes.
Unless you realize, by the way, I have H. pylori, so I'm going to treat it. You will never treat it. When you keep saying, Nika ulcers, it's like a small thing. No. Give it a name. I am angry because this was done, this was done, this was done, and I wasn't happy.
So one of the things that you're mentioning is that you also have to identify who did what to you.
Yes. Who are you forgiving if you're not identifying?
So some of us know how to, because you made me, my boss made me angry in the morning, I come home and I make noise to the children.
But now you see what you've done. You're punishing children. Are they your boss?
So, and you're really, really angry at your children.
Yes, and then, you know, you're angry at them because they didn't open the gate. And the reason they didn't open the gate is because you didn't hoot. And the reason you didn't hoot is because your mind was not there. Your mind was with the boss. And you know what that is? It is displacement. You're displacing to the person that is weaker, and that happens a lot, even in relationships. You are angered by your mother. You're a man. You are angered by your mother. Growing up, she hurt you big time. You never forgive. You never moved on.
Yes.
You never dealt with it. You put it behind there. I like saying you put a karembeko. You know what a karembeko is? An elastoplast.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You put an elastoplast on an uncleaned wound. You covered it up very well.
So continuous festering. boiling.
Cooks itself.
Uh-huh.
Until one day, tumaji tunaanza kutoka.
Pus flowing out.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And the pus is really stinky. It has a bad stench. Now, that is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
When you see, remember it was your mom that hurt you.
Yes.
You cannot, then you work very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom called you foolish. You work so hard, called you useless, you work very hard
Mm-hmm.
and become a very successful man. Guess the people who are going to suffer because that wound was never dealt with. Iko tu.
It will be the women around you.
The women around you will suffer for that. Oh my goodness, they will suffer. Wanawake wote ni wajinga. Where do you think that comes from?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come from today. It comes from very far. And forgiveness is usually like that. It has eaten you and eaten you and eaten you and eaten you.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're just manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So acknowledge that you were hurt by so Rosemary did this. You know the way you say women have some interesting memory.
Yes.
Write it down if you can.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of writing is that when you write, you release. When you write, you release.
Mm-hmm.
Once you write, acknowledge what they have done. You don't have to confront people. I don't believe in confronting.
Uh-huh.
I would never advise anybody to confront. Because when you confront, you might actually aggravate it more. Me, I have confronted.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I would confront my mom during Chrissy. You know, that's when you go home.
Uh-huh.
I confront, I tell her, you've done this, you have done this. And if you want our relationship to ever grow. And she's like, I don't need you. And I would go back worse than I had been.
So what was the purpose of you confronting her when you think about it?
Maneno.
But do you think it was more along the lines of, let me inflict the pain that I'm feeling on you?
But that's the only thing I knew. I was in pain.
Uh-huh.
You can never take people where you've never been.
Oh.
You can't.
So you give them pain because you're feeling pain?
Sidio. Even you, the way you had caused me pain, say, I caused you some pain now. Now the person who was taking the pain, it's like she was ready for me. Anatoa kucha. And it would be ugly.
Wow. Wow.
And then, see, Chrissy, immediately after Christmas, you're going to do a New Year resolution. And guess what my resolution would be? Beautiful relationship with my mom. And beautiful relationship with my mom meant my mom accepting that she hurt me and now she's asking for forgiveness from me.
Oh, so now you're placing unnecessary or unrealistic expectations on an African parent.
On an African parent. And by the way, when you talk about African parents, the reason why our parents do the things they do to us,
yes,
it's because Africans, from colonization, Africans got bitter. Yes. Why wouldn't you get bitter? You are in Kiambu. You are in this country, land of milk and honey. The whites came and congregated the people into, they're called what? They're called
reserves.
The Amerios. The reserves is the Amerios. You're put in a village. How are you supposed to be happy? They were angry. Then they were beaten. Education was brought to us at it is to remove foolishness. How was it to remove foolishness? We were not foolish.
We had our own form of knowledge.
We were very knowledgeable, you know. And then we were told African traditional society is evil. These are the one that I'm bringing me. The white man is the good one. This is the one that, you know. So Africans became very, very bitter. To them, discipline became beating. Because the colonizer would beat them. Would call them mujinga. I was about to say a word that is becoming career common in the lingua, the current lingua today. Blood fucking.
Oi.
That word, people, you never used that word.
A very long time ago.
Exactly. You didn't even know the meaning, I'm sure, by the time you were using it. Then, okay, me, I didn't know. You know, you're of town, me, I'm from the village. You would say those words, but you didn't know what we were saying.
But it was a word that was used on our parents, on our grandparents, and they passed it on to us.
Passed it on to us. Then I have understood what the word means. Now, you think I won't feel angry?
Very.
You will be very angry because now I know. So there was a lot of bitterness, and parents kept on continuing this bitterness. And that's why we have generations of people who are very angry. The reason why Kenyans are angry is because we are raised by angry parents, who are raised by angry parents. Now, if I look at my grandfather went to the reserves. Right? And of course he suffered. He went to Manyani. Manyani wasn't honeymoon, it was pain. He came and became a bad man to Akina, my mother. And so what were Akina, my mother, going to do? To give us love. They didn't know love. Love was beat and provide. Ugali iko. That's all you need. These love things. I love you, that's why I'm beating you like the Kikuyus would say, like something I will kill and eat. But according to it was discipline. So this anger has kept on piling. How do you expect her to be nice to you? She can't. She doesn't know. So I was expecting that lady to be the one to apologize to me every year. And that it was my year.
Every year was your year?
It was my year of getting married and my mother asking for forgiveness. And now, let me even now tell you something. So many times I would pray that my mom is asthmatic. God forgive me. It was foolishness. My mom is asthmatic. And I would say, God, why can't you make her sick? Sindio, so that she knows that I am important. Why can't she just be needy? Yes. So that she knows that I'm important. Aki God ni nani, Aki Madhe has never been sick.
Ye kwa maombi, ye kwa uchawi.
Okay, I forgive you.
Okay.
About forgiveness. The truth is, but then forgiveness and bitterness and pain makes you more of a mchawi. Because when you're not, you'd never wish anybody well when you're angry, when you're bitter.
Wow.
Where is it going to come from? Where? Last night I was having a conversation with some of my clients and I talked about forgiveness. And I went deeper in telling them, you have to acknowledge that you are hurt. And some of them were like, Mimi, if I had the power, what I would do.
If I got that person.
Yes. I remember telling
in a
them,
compromising situation where they can't hit back.
Or if I had the power. Power it corrupts. So this one is like, I am already telling myself, I'm already corrupt. What I don't have is power. So people are, the heart is there. The pain is there. So acknowledge it. Just acknowledge. Because when you acknowledge it, now it has lost its power, by the way. The moment you acknowledge the power it has had over you for a very long time now ceases. It's an easier one now. It's like, now deal with me. Let's deal with the issue now.
Okay.
Another thing, when it is after you've acknowledged that you are hurting, remove the titles you have given these people. Make them human beings. Make them people. Make them, let it not be your mom. Like in my case, let it not be my mother. Let it be a lady called Susan. Hurt me. And this lady is like me. Because the moment, when she's your mother, you're like, but God has commanded her to do this. She's my mother, she's supposed to. But when you put her as a human being, you remember the Lord's Prayer. As I forgive those who sin against me. So she becomes those. Then it becomes easy to forgive her.
Why is it also important to humanize these people?
Because when you humanize those people, you stop, expectations go down. You stop having crazy expectations on these people. Because the reason why we feel hurt is because this person should have known better. You are a parent. You should have known better. And as we have already agreed, they didn't know better. They were doing what was done to them. So humanizing makes it easier for you to realize, by the way, they are only human like myself. And human beings make mistakes. Human beings blunder just like I do. The moment I realized that I could be hurting my son, I have hurt people, it became very easy for me to forgive my mom. When I started looking at her, from where did she come from? Who raised her? What are some of the things I would hear from my grandmother about my great-grandmother? What are some of the words I would hear from my grandfather who was her father? It became very easy to forgive her because I was like, wow, being your father. Lazima she was hurt. So she was only doing what she knew best. She didn't know any better. And that's, so when you humanize people, when you stop looking at them from that high pedestal, yes. When you remove them from the pedestal, it becomes very, very easy to forgive them. They are now human. They are individuals like you and I. You easily let go. But it's not easy. I always say, forgiveness is acknowledging and letting go. It's not easy. It's a journey.
Wow. Yeah. So So when you're removing these people from pedestals, and we're not only talking about parents, we're talking about our political leaders, we're talking about our pastors, we're talking about our elders,
partners.
our partners especially.
Oh, yes.
When we remove them from that pedestal, and we have done all that, can we now go to them and speak to them?
Now, this is something I like to really emphasize. Now, you're the one who's been working. You're the one who's been working on yourself. You're the one who's been doing the forgiveness journey.
Yes.
They have not been doing it. You are not on the same level. All right?
Yes.
So I always say, do you want to face this person? Please don't face them. Don't go facing them, because you're not on the same space. You might end up damaging them further, or damaging yourself further, because they have not worked on themselves. They haven't. Can I shock you? When I started working on myself, I never visited my mother for a whole year. I never called her. I never called her. She should be the only one who would call. And I remember she would call and I would get triggered. And I would run to my coach. Mom has just called. Like last year, around June, she wanted to have her taxes filed. But when she sent me, she said she had sent me a text I hadn't seen. Then she says, why don't you want to talk to me? And I'm thinking, why would I not want to talk to you? And she writes a text that triggers me. By the way, it was a normal text. I've been sending you a message and you're not responding. Is it that you don't want to talk to me? Remember, she also feels there had been an issue.
Yes.
When I talked to my coach, she asked me, but you haven't heard from her. Call her, find out. I called her. And she told me, by the way, nilikuwa nataka kufailiwa taxes. So, you have to take care of you first. Because you see, you're working on you. When you have bitterness, hata hajui. It could be very possible, but I don't even think my mom feels she has ever done anything wrong, even now. So it is me who's been working on myself. It's you who's working on yourself. So deal with you.
So it's a very selfish thing.
Forgiveness is the most selfish thing you will ever do, but it's the best thing you'll ever do. And by the way, selfish is not bad sometimes. It's self-love.
So if you're doing it 70 times 7 as prescribed by Dr. Jesus, you're helping yourself.
Amazing. But please find it service. Let it be deep.
You've brought a very, very important point. What is this lip service?
I forgive you as well. You know, Benji, I forgive you the other time. Even now, me I forgive because Jesus commands, I forgive you. Lakini kama si Yesu, mi singekusamehea. Hey, tena, I have forgiven you 3 times. Now you want me to forgive you again? Aye, by the way, unachosha, unabo. Now that is what I call lip service. Because I'm reminding you, when you forgive me deep, first I've said it's not a one-day thing.
It's a process.
It's a process. Can you imagine forgiving your mother for 1 year? By the way, this is something I always do, viewers. I believe in writing things. So in my morning routines, routines are very important.
Yes.
In my morning routines, now I'm being a coach. In my morning routines, I have a place where I forgive 5 people every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Brano.
Mtu 5. Truthfully speaking, from around April 2020 to today, there are some 4 people I forgive every single day. My mother tops that list. And Rosemary tops that list also.
So also forgiving yourself is very, very important.
Oh, yes. It's very, very important to forgive yourself. We forgive outside very well, but we don't forgive ourselves. I have so many things. When you're my client, you do so many things. I actually become boring because I tell you, did you do your routine for the mirror? Did you do the writing routine? Because I have the mirror routine and I have the writing routine. In the mirror routine, there's a place you sit down and look at yourself in the mirror. The reason I do that is because when a child or a person has grown up with self-hate, without being appreciated, without being loved, we don't learn to love ourselves. And we do everything for the world. I realized I never had a mirror until last year but one. I got my first mirror in 2018. By the way, I am a girl. I got my first mirror in 2018.
Thank you for answering my question.
I could see it somewhere. So why didn't I have a mirror? I thought I was the fattest person. I was the ugliest person. Nobody was going to like me. When I bought the mirror, looking at myself in the mirror was hard. I've been working now on looking myself in the mirror. Nowadays, I love looking at myself in the mirror. So I sit in the mirror in the morning and I tell myself a few things. I have 3 headers. One is, I forgive you for. Rosemary, I forgive you for. That's not the first one, but the first one is usually, I'm proud of you for. Rosemary, I'm proud of you for. And then I give myself like 5 statements. The line is, Rosemary, I'm proud of you for being the best mother in the world.
Yes.
Rosemary, I forgive you. I am proud of you for accepting to live life authentically.
Yes.
Rosemary, I am proud of you for being here now. Rosemary, I am proud of you for showing up this morning. Yes. Rosemary, I forgive. I am proud of you for taking care of this child without expectations. I'm proud of you for.
Yes.
I forgive myself. Rosemary, I forgive you for allowing lonely to make you compromise. Hiyo lazima ningesema. Rosemary, I forgive you for letting the world control you. Rosemary, I forgive you for allowing several things that you think you have done to yourself. Rosemary, I forgive you for not loving yourself. Rosemary, I forgive you for not giving yourself time. Time with yourself. Time with yourself does not mean going to the bar. Does not mean going to the restaurant and having tea or whatever. It means sitting there, you calling me for coffee and me deciding I'm not coming because I'm busy sitting with myself. I have a meeting. Rosemary, I forgive you for not dreaming big enough. Rosemary, I forgive you for limiting yourself.
Yes.
You forgive yourself. And then I commit to you too. Rosemary, I commit to you to be there for you when you need. I'm making a commitment to myself.
Yes.
But I have to keep telling myself that. That is another very, very difficult moment. I have a client who told me the day she did it, she cried her heart out. She had never faced herself in the mirror. First, she noticed she didn't even have the pimples she had believed she had.
So, you're talking to yourself in the mirror?
Yes. Always talk to that person on the other side of the mirror.
Wow.
Because, Benji, let me tell you, you will come out there, we'll meet down and you will, hey, Rosemary, you're looking good. Did you even tell yourself you're looking good? And I expect you to tell me that I'm looking good because I wear dress. But have you told yourself anything? And kutoka nje expecting the world to tell you things, it's going to be so hard. People may not tell you because they may not even see.
So again, selfishly begins with you and it is for you.
Let me tell you. The Bible tells us, love your neighbor as you love yourself. It doesn't tell us, love yourself as you love your neighbor. It is love your neighbor as you love yourself. Fill your cup first before you fill the other one.
For you cannot fill from empty. So if you're harboring bitterness, it is bitterness that will spill out.
I am the queen. I used to do that very well. You met me when I was a very good pretender. Ha! I had a lot of bitterness to share.
Okay. Wow. What other importance is it for us to forgive ourselves? Where does it move us from?
Self-forgiveness, one of the things it does, besides it being very selfish, it now enables you to now learn to forgive other people.
So basically you should start with yourself before you start dealing with other people.
Yes. Because, as you said, you cannot fill from an empty cup. Once you have forgiven yourself, then forgiveness becomes easy. Then you realize how much you needed to be forgiven. You need the forgiveness, even from other people. When you realize, when you're forgiving yourself, you start to see your issues, your faults, the many times you let yourself down. And as you're seeing yourself, as you're seeing what you did to yourself, you start to see what you did to other people. Then you're like, like this person needs to forgive me.
So you're also removing yourself from the pedestal.
Oh, yes. And by the unforgiveness, on the pedestal so high. You people who you failed to forgive me. But when you now come, when you now forgive yourself, realize you're faulty, you also realize those other people are also faulty. And these people are just human. Compassion becomes part of your life. You start to expend compassion everywhere. You meet with a matatu conductor, he says words you can't believe, but you remember, this guy is broken. I forgive him. And you forgive him and go. Not like the way I used to be. Me, I would have, even if I don't say anything, because I fear you'll beat me, I'll deal with you nikiwa peke yangu. Inside. Of course, I was fearing being beaten. You don't want Makangas to beat you up.
Or they'll tell you other marvelous things that you don't want to hear.
And remember, I also don't love myself. So anything you say, it lands seriously. So I have to take care of that.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So this is a journey. So it has started with sit down.
Sit down.
Right.
This
person did this to me.
Yes.
Date, etc.
Sometimes I don't see the date, but for me, I stopped doing dates. The reason I stopped doing dates is because it would arouse crazy emotions. Now, you want me to take you through my entire forgiveness program?
Unaweza guzia highlight.
Now, when we are doing the unconditional forgiveness, I have a program that I'm doing actually.
Yes.
We begin with something I call comprehensive history taking, understanding where you're coming from. When you understand where you're coming from, now that takes you through the whole journey from around conception, where your parents have, yes.
Yes. Wait. Ngoja. So you had to go talk to your parents, talk to the people around them, and ask them.
Talk to my parents. Kwani we're even talking.
And ask them, when I was nearly coming into existence in this world, what was happening in the family? What was happening around me?
Not around you, around your mother. For me, I couldn't talk to my mom, remember?
Okay.
Then my mom has a way, it's interesting, but it's what bitter people do. They alienate. People who are angry, they alienate their children. My mom kind of alienated me. Would tell me, uyo, akupendi. So the only person I would speak to was my uncle, but I didn't trust him. Because when my relationship with the father of my son didn't work, I heard they had said so many things. So I didn't care. Then I remembered a friend of my grandmother, my late grandmother, who was her friend forever. Mama Ken, we love you and you know it. Mama Ken is the lady I called. We talked. Ushaiba credo ya so mbili. Ukakula credo ya so mbili. Na inaitwa nini?
Okoa.
Not Okoa. We are not Okoaing on TV. It's called what? Store bonus.
Ya 200.
Yote. Because at that time I used to get 180. We talked and talked and talked and talked. And she told me so many things that evening, when I was doing my evening routine, I remember saying, I feel pity for my mom. Nilihurumia what she was going through at that point. By the time I was done with that call, and I started evaluating, and it got me to even appreciate my biological father. Yes, because it was not an easy moment. My mom went through a lot when she was expecting me, and nobody bothered to share with me. So that makes you know so many things. Were you were your parents waiting for you? Were you that child that is planned for? We look forward to getting this baby, you know. Were they excited? When they heard they were expecting you, were they happy?
Yes.
Were you an oops? Were you a child who the mother gets to know they are expecting them and they're like, not again? Because that not again gets into the mind of the child. Because let me tell you, you remember last time I talked about the conscious and the subconscious.
Yeah.
The subconscious is there when you're conceived. It is there. You've had people telling you tell people being told when you're expecting, speak to the baby, massage the tummy. You men are told, speak to the baby in the tummy.
Yes, we are.
Because you're told, because the child is hearing and it's feeling, and it is feeling accepted. Now this child learns as an oops, not again. I never wanted to be pregnant. I was done with babies. That gets into the child's subconscious mind. And until the child understands that, or you, the adult child, understands where it began, you will be angry with your mother for nothing. You don't know what she experienced. Did she get sick? Did she get into an accident? Was she rejected? Those things will affect you in adulthood. So you have to go all the way to child, to before conception, to when you were conceived, when you're in your mother's womb. What happened throughout your 0 to 18 years? I like to say 0 to 18 years because a child, actually 0 to 21 years, very, very important. That is why I need to tell girls, children, before when you are 21, no. If you can, please don't get them. So that time, you're still growing.
Yes.
But 0 to 7, very key. And 0 to 7, for many children, it's damaging. We beat them. This morning I was having an issue with ladies who are saying they are beating their children for peeing on themselves. And I'm like, why are you beating them? But walikuwa wanaitisha poti. I'm like, no, let the children, it's a process, it's a journey. But we do not know. So we beat children a lot in the name of discipline, 0 to 7. We form who they end up becoming. So hiyo machungu nimeibeba from before conception tunaendelea. So we do that comprehensive history taking. We understand the human mind. We also take time to understand the advanced. Could you have gone through advanced childhood experiences? We even take a score. Now, comprehensive history taking, you take it as you write. Then, as we go on, we have done comprehensive history taking. We have confronted these people. My kind of confrontation is very interesting. I like a very common one called empty chair therapy. Put my mother on the couch. I put a picture. Sit there, woman. And I talked.
To a picture?
To the picture. I talked. I cried. But I said all of it. I said everything. It was not interesting. I would get away.
It came out raw.
Raw.
And
you see,
filtered.
she's not talking. This one is a picture. And when I was done with that, I felt relieved. I felt, now the burden is lifted. And you continue. But still, you will still be aroused. The emotions will still come up.
Yes.
You have to now keep now forgiving her every day. When I was done with empty chair therapy, I felt better. There are people who also go with writing a letter. You sit down and write a letter to that person who hurt you. Write everything. Raw letter. But don't give.
Don't give
Take
the
care
letter
of
to the
other
person.
Yes, because the other person has not been doing any self-help. They have not been working on themselves. So where are you giving them? Where are you causing pain to them? You have also realized that, I remember we have acknowledged that these people were hurting, so they are hurting you. So once you write the letter, there are people who opt to burn it and throw the ashes in the air. That's like bougie. It's for those ones of class, those ones who think it's classy, but it's also very healthy. Throw it into the air. Or empty chair therapy. Or drain it into the river. I'd love to drain it into the river. I'm still having a process of writing a letter. I still think I should write a letter to my mom, tell her what I would want to tell her. I already spoke, but I would also think about writing a letter. I don't know why. I just want to be by a river. I love rivers. Nature is also very therapeutic, by the way. So at that time, also take care of yourself. Go into the natural spaces. So write the letter, throw it in the, as in tear. You know that you tear the paper as it is taken away by the water. It can really help you. Pick whatever works for you. And then you overwrite. You write things on top. Take another moment and write. How would you have wanted your childhood to be from before conception?
So you're reimagining everything again.
Yes, you're creating your world. You write it. Make it normal. Make sure you feel every feeling. You went to school, your dream school. Hata kama haikuwa, kama ulikuwa unatamani kusomea band, did it exist then? Say you went there, what's wrong with that? You want to say something. Our mind is very funny. It does not understand. It takes what you give it and manifests.
So if you tell it between ages of 0 and 7, you were in XYZ place and used to go for holiday flying every year. And you really convince it.
Yes, it will take it. And you become a happy person. And now your imagination and dreams becomes different. Creativity becomes different. You start to be creative in a funny way. People start wondering, hey, Rosemary utoache hizi stories zake za majuu utoa wapi? Mbona ana feeling ni kali shaishi? You took time to take yourself there. Because you need to delete those files. And you cannot delete those files and leave the... You know, if you delete the file and leave the space empty, let me tell you, our mind will always gravitate towards the negative. Our thoughts are hardly... Even the Bible tells us that the heart of man is desperately wicked. If it is desperately wicked, itapeleka tu mind yako kwa wickedness. So you have to fill with good things. You have to fill it with nice things, nice experiences, you know. If you're like me, there are places, there are things I have written, sometimes I laugh. Because I'm like, wow, in real fairy tale. But write it, no one is stopping you. And the mind is going to accept it. It may just manifest. Of course, it won't manifest because you're not going to become a 7-year-old, but your 7-year-old experiences are going to be nice. Take care of that small little girl. Reparent it. Reparenting is also very important in the journey to forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, as much as we acknowledge, we now, as we are overwriting, we are doing a lot of reparenting.
Hii si kazi ya siku moja hii. Si session moja.
By the way, you can never transform in less than, at least within 90 days. Don't be lied. Ati I can make you. There are people who do it, and they're able to do it, but I look at lasting change can only be 90 days. 90 days of doing things consistently every day. Speaking to yourself good things every day. Taking care of your body every day. And by taking care of your body, I mean diet, exercise, drinking water, sleep. Those things, taking care of yourself wholly, consistently for 90 days. Make it a lifestyle. Personal development is not a one-day thing. That is why I have a problem with motivational speakers who will tell you, I did this within 3 days. I was like, this is a lie.
I started with a feather and now I have a whole chicken farm.
How? So it's a journey. And as I've said, forgiveness is a journey. But the beauty of it, once you're done, or as you go, the beauty of it is it goes. Every day you shed. You keep shedding the weight. Once you are, as you're shedding the weight, amazing things come up. It's only when I forgive that I started thinking I could be a good life coach as I was taking my forgiveness journey.
Okay.
Before then, I thank God. I usually say there are two things I'm grateful to God for. I never found love then, and I also never began this journey because I wanted to be a motivational speaker before. But it was motivational speaker from bitterness.
Ungekuwa wale wa social media.
Mimi ningekuwa wale wa kuita watu idiots.
And that would have
and I never got
been
loaded. I never got real money because it would have damaged me.
So now with what you have, okay.
Everything can come.
So, like you to speak to that person that is still feeling, I need to forgive, but I'm at a point I'm not letting go. It's like, mtu nafaa kumwachilia, but I'm not letting go of this issue I'm having with them.
First, they need to stop beating themselves so hard. It's a journey. You don't do it once. You have to do it consistently. And it is very okay to ask for help. Very, very good to ask for help because the help you may find, first you need to look for help from somebody who may have gone through such a journey and has come out. But this person should be professional. Sometimes professional people may actually be wounded, but they're acting like they are not wounded. So it's important that you seek somebody who's a professional to help you take this journey. And I want to speak to the people in the church. One might even wonder whether I beat the church because I really like speaking to the church. When you have a stomachache, you will go to the hospital. When you have a heart issue, you will go to the hospital. When you say you have a mind issue, what do we say? You are feeling depressed, you're feeling stressed. What do we tell you?
You go to a psychologist or...
Church people, Christians. We have decided to demonize issues of the heart, of the mind, of the heart. Depression is demonic. We can't curse depression. We need to normalize seeking professional help. Go to the psychiatrist, find a person who can walk with you through this journey. Is it a counselor? Is it a life coach like me? Me, I love life coaches. Of course, that is what I am. But get somebody who's going to help you take this journey. It is not evil. To struggle is not evil. Behavior struggles are not demonic. They are not. They happen to people who are damaged at some point. And remember, I've said they are generational damages. I have one experience I look at and sometimes I feel sad, where you see a lady is going through exactly what the mother went through. Yeah?
Yes.
Every single thing. Unakuta, your life and the life of your mother is like this. Mine was that way. Actually, I look at my life. My mom has one child. I have one child. I realized when I took my son to boarding. Around the same time I was taken to boarding. It may look, my mom never got married. Me, I will get married, by the way. But I was seeing my life and my mom's life happening in the same way. Because we had similar childhoods. What do I mean? By the way, like for me, I say for me and my mom, we had similar. Sorry. Just that we're generations apart.
Yes.
A generation apart. The parents who raised her up are the parents who raised me up. Because I was raised by her parents. So our lives are the same. Pains, anger, everything, the same. So when you forgive, you are able to break the cycle now. You can break it. Yeah, but
what we usually call generational curses.
Yes, I keep saying they're not curses. When you call it a curse, you're not able to control. You can't do anything about it. And the one thing I like, me, I told you I got born again kitambo. And I used to break this generational curse. Because of that one of marriage. I used to break it every time. Na iko inaenda mahali. But you remember, even if I break it na maombi, but hata siamini hiyo maombi.
Okay. So
Yes. Unaweza kuko church lakini uamini. Kuzu ukienda home unakuta reality ni vile uliwacha. Unaona? Unangoja ukatiwe na mtu wa maana, unakatiwa na mtu mwenye hata ameoa.
Ouch.
You know, because your subconscious is attracting that kind of a person. A person who's available is not attractive. You don't want them. You know, remember, probably growing up when you were neglected. And neglect is not necessarily kuwachanishwa. Like in my case, I wasn't neglected as per se because my mom left me in the care of the best woman on earth, my grandmother. That was kind of not negligence. But the truth is, I was neglected. Subconsciously, she never accepted me. She handed me over. If the person who has given birth to you has not accepted you, see, the subconscious takes that, you're not important, I don't like you.
Yes.
I don't want to be with you. There are more important things. So you will keep accepting that kind of treatment throughout. You get? So you haven't changed your subconscious content. The content is still the same, and it's going to attract the same kind of experiences. So niliendelea tu, living the same life. So for the person who's in that space, you don't know how to forgive. Don't beat yourself hard. It's not going to be a one-day journey. As in, it's not going to be kutoka home kufika tao. It's the entire journey from you waking up in the morning, preparing yourself, taking the whole journey. It's going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes you will forgive these people today. Tomorrow you don't want to see them. And then you'll remember by there I was on a forgiveness journey. You will forgive them the other day. It's going to be like that. They are going to trigger you. And some of them are long gone. Some of them have since also worked on themselves and changed. Some of them, if you dare the reason I have a problem with confrontation, you may go confronting your parent or the other person that hurt you and you cause them pain. Unaweza confront, and you know confrontations will always lead to agitation.
Yeah.
When the agitation comes, and probably your mom was not strong enough, she may get her heart attack and die. Will you even forgive yourself?
No.
So instead of that, do this. I call it the easy hard side. With yourself, you suffer because you're working to help yourself. You suffer. Suffer because it's not going to be crazy suffering. You see, you're working to help you. And of course, probably have a help, but don't do it alone. Let me say this. Seeking professional help may look very expensive, but it's very, very cheap in comparison to what it helps you from. Diseases. We've talked about the way H. pylori needs a conducive environment to thrive.
Yeah.
Stress, anger, bitterness. It is more expensive to treat illnesses than it is to heal your inner child. Because the reason why unforgiveness is there, it's because of the wounded inner child. Heal the inner child. Meet the inner child. I think the next time we should talk about the inner child. But I think we're about to end. Still, it's almost time.
In about 5 minutes, yeah.
Awesome. Not that it's in about 5 minutes. I'm going to be launching my YouTube channel very soon. And we're going to be talking about the inner child. We are going to meet the inner child.
Okay.
On my YouTube channel.
Okay.
So I'll share with you the link and then you share with the viewers.
Okay, I will.
Yes. The inner child needs to be met. Yes.
And those are two viewers. Who is this inner child? Because most of us, we understand the abstract, but who is the inner child?
There's a little girl inside of you. The one that lives, the one that is inside of me, not inside of you.
Not
inside.
definitely.
There's a little boy. There's a little girl inside of me that lives, the one that is happy, the one that doesn't care, the one that will pick a flower. I'm looking for a flower. The one that will pick a flower and put here, and it's a bad-smelling flower, but the child thinks it's pretty. It's the same child that will not have, will be, unainuanga mtoi, and the child comes down without fear. That is the child.
The one who still has wonder of life.
Exactly.
Open to new experiences.
Thank you. The one who loves without a care. The one who sees you and hugs you like, that's a child.
So that's basically when people say they want to rediscover themselves, that's who they want to.
They want to meet the inner child. The inner child is Did you see how I brightened up when you started talking about the inner child? So she's such a nice,
Uh-huh.
it's a beautiful space you go to. She dances in the rain. Can you dance in the rain today?
Side eye.
If today I told you to you know, the child will start crying because they're hungry.
Yes.
A child will start crying because they have been hit. A child will tell you, you're not good, you are not my friend, you refuse to bring me the sweet I wanted, you're not my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that today?
No.
Now even in a relationship, I feel like this guy should have bought me cake and he hasn't brought me cake. I'll be like, it's okay. But instead I want to say, you're bad, you never brought me cake. The inner child is that one.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't care, she's just being authentic. Getting to meet that inner child is very important. It's very, very important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Haya, maneno ya mwisho. Any last words that you'd like to pass on to our audience about forgiveness?
Yeah. People, forgiveness is important. Forgiveness is very selfish, and I encourage selfishness in this space. Start to become selfish. Start to love yourself. Start to forgive those people that have hurt you. Do not allow anybody to take control of your life. When you don't forgive, you give people the power to take charge of your life. We have very many people we need to forgive, and allow them to be human beings and forgive them. Our politicians, our parents, that doctor who never treated you right, your bosses, please forgive all of them, because the one thing I want to let you know is that no matter where they stand, they are still human beings. And they are also coming from somewhere. They are also struggling. They were also struggling. And start to enjoy the life of living without holding anybody. Wachilia hizo mizigo. Let them go. But if it becomes so hard, I am here, and there's so many other people who would help you on this journey. Please seek professional help. As I have said, dealing with emotions is cheaper, way cheaper, way cheaper than treating diseases that come as a result of stress and bitterness and anger. Thank you very much.
A question just occurred to me. This madam has not talked about prayer. So tunambiwango, when we pray, forgiveness comes easier. What is the place of prayer and forgiveness?
You know, me, I write my prayers. Yes.
Okay.
Not all the time. I do pray. I do pray with the mouth, but I like to write my prayers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have not forgiven,
mm-hmm.
you pray the Psalm 35.
Yeah.
Who contends with me? Father, contend with those who contend with me.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I talk about forgiveness is a journey, and it enables you to pray properly. It makes your prayer life very different.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It teaches you to be authentic, even when you go to God. Me, I would pray and tell God, unajua madhi vile alinifanyia. The reason I talk about my mother is because she has been my hardest person to forgive. Yeye ndiye nilibeba zaidi. So I would pray every time. But ilikuwa prayers, ilikuwa complaints.
Okay.
Today when I pray, because I've forgiven her, put her in humanity. You know what I want to say? Prayer, you will ask God to help you forgive. But if you've not worked on it, I'll tell you the truth. Nothing. Uko na kidonda. Unaweza ombea ama utaosha.
So prayer without works is dead. Oh, okay. Okay. Sasa juu we have acknowledged to recover from unforgiveness, it's a journey, and some of us may need a helping hand, or a helping
hand.
I would say voice.
Even hand. Only that it is online some of the times.
Because this is COVID time, and we we have extended our services even through Google and all those things, all those spheres. So how can somebody reach you?
You can, I'm found on Facebook, Rosemary Ngoge, and I have a phone number, which you're supposed to only text.
Okay.
Yes, because when you call, I may not be able to answer you.
You might be in another session.
In another session, if I'm in session, I won't answer you. You will say that lady never picks calls, but when you drop a text or a WhatsApp message, I will be able to respond.
Okay.
So you find me on Facebook, Rosemary Ngoge, or on my phone number, 0703 666 439. 0703 666 439. Yes, I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
But where? Rosemary Waridi. Rosemary underscore Waridi.
Okay.
That is where you find me on Instagram, but I'm not very active, but I'm going to build it. And soon to be on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a beautiful place where you'll actually find a lot of material that is going to help us.
Awesome.
Yes.
Asanteni sana for paying us another visit. And I'm speaking this in anticipation of another visit, which we will look for the means and the ways that we shall be speaking about. Maybe continuing with the same topic or something else. Thank you, viewers. That has been We Do Recover. This has been your host, Benard Mwangi, and this is Rosemary Ngugi, a transformational coach, primary school teacher, and what else? A mother.
Yes.
We bid you goodbye, good afternoon, and enjoy the sun.